welcome everyone to the latest and greatest episode of Your Brain on Hops. We have a great show for you here today, and with me as always,
I'm Alex.
Dan.
So today we'll be talking about Tröegs Brewery and tasting some delicious Tröegs beers. The first one we have up is Troegenator.
Burning it in the countryside.
Yes, it has its own theme song, based on the popular Flash animations of our childhood. Also, it's a delicious double bock.
I think the best way to describe this beer is actually liquid bread.
Liquid bread?
Mm-hmm. It's toasty. It's just nice and malty. I get a bread crust type of flavor out of it with a hint of like a toasted fruit bread.
Okay. I see that more. So the bread character shines more for me on like more straight lagers and don't have sweetness to it like this one does. But fruit bread, oh yeah, this definitely.
I don't get fruit at all. Like my palate is just taking like I'm getting that chocolate, that stone fruit, and ever had like that one of those really dense like chocolate torts?
Yeah.
Like, and that someone will always put like raspberries or something onto it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm picking up, and like that's kind of what I want right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a tort with this. I do still. The more I drink it, especially the more it warms up, I am getting more of that fruit flavor in there. It's still it's on the more bitter side of fruit, darker fruits, but I do get the bread as well.
You know, this is reminding me of now that it's really warmed up. Higher math minus the alcohol.
Oh,
good comparison.
Like a palatable version of higher
Yes.
math.
Ooh, ouch. Ouch, Chris.
Sick burn.
We still love you, Dogfish.
See, that's cold. That's cold.
That's true. I did drink my whole glass of higher math, but some of the sips were tough.
Really?
There's so much booziness and so much cherry. Just
I completely understand what
my
you're
mouth.
saying, but I stand behind. I think that beer will get so much better the longer it sits.
Oh, for sure.
And one of the reasons is that it'll mellow out a little, I think, which will help.
Which is why I still have 3 bottles of it on my shelf, ready to go for when the time is right.
It's a solid move.
So I will not say just more palatable, because I think that beer is still palatable.
You think it's going to be palatable in a year or two? That's different than saying it's palatable right now.
Right. It might be, palatable beer, any beer, and especially Dogfish Head beer.
You just don't want to go there.
No.
You feel wrong saying it.
I won't say it. You said it. So I'm just going to look at you and glare.
That's a mighty
until
glare.
you know I'm right.
I'll say it again. I've spoke highly of many Dogfish Head beers, but this is just. I'll taste it in a year after it's been sitting. We'll see what happens then.
Well, this isn't about Dogfish Head. It's about Tröegs.
Like every episode, we have to steer it back to the brewery at hand, off from Dogfish Head. But you're right. This does definitely seem like a lighter version of the higher math.
Now, see, I've never actually been to Tröegs, even though they're not too far away. Have you guys been there?
Yeah, we went at the same time. We were coming back from a trip. We visited a friend in Baltimore.
I love Baltimore.
So between Baltimore and Buffalo, it's just pretty much on the way.
You gotta stop.
Yeah, you really do.
You literally just drive through streets that paved to look like chocolate.
It's kind of surreal because, obviously it's in Hershey,
It's a Willy
Pennsylvania.
Wonka kind of town.
Yeah, Hershey's is right there. But it's weird because you drive through the town, it's Hershey themed, lots of Hershey stuff everywhere.
The streetlights are shaped like Hershey Kisses.
And then you get to the part where there's actually the brewery. And there's no Hershey Kiss lights there. No. It
the stops. Brewery. The road literally stops at right before you hit the brewery. But if you park in the brewery, you see the entire park, all of the bumper car rides and the roller coaster. And yet they just decided, no, Hershey stops where the alcohol starts. Really? Because I'm pretty sure half the parents that are in that park with their children are most likely intoxicated. That's just my guess. Because that's how they get through their day when they know their children are in a massive sugar rush.
Oh, that sugar. But yeah, great brewery. I enjoyed it there. We had food when we were there too. It's a brew pub part. And yeah, even the food was delicious.
What kind of food did they have?
Snack bar does not do what they do there justice. It's a poor terminology.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
was
remember
one
mini cast iron skillets involving pork belly and just roasted
pork
vegetables,
belly.
like
Wasn't there
proper
a really
charcuterie
good
platters.
mac and cheese variant?
Yes.
Made with one of the beers. Which beer was it? Was it LaGrave?
That was the first time I had the LaGrave. And I remember because I saw it and I picked up a 4-pack and I gave our friend, shout out to Tim, I gave him a bottle of it. I don't know if it was the LaGrave, but we had gone there and that was actually one of the days that the Scratch Series came out and we had just missed it. I don't remember what number it was.
Yeah, I think it came out that weekend. We went on Sunday. Or not late Sunday. I think we got there before noon and they were gone. And we were so sad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, if I recall, Tim wanted to go there that day because he knew it was coming out. It's like, we gotta see if we can get there. It would be so much fun. We get there, so if it had been tapped that day, it kicked within 2 hours maybe. So, unfortunately, but food was amazing in that tap room, and it's a massive tap room actually.
Yeah.
It's a good, decent size, and
yeah, it's pretty big.
Small kitchen, but remarkable work. You go in, you pay your food, you sit down at tons of tables. You sit down, you can get everything from, I think they had burgers at some point. They had, you said the mac and cheese. They had, was it poutine? They might have done the poutine.
That sounds familiar.
I'm getting hungry now.
No.
All done with the beers or
Let's go to Pennsylvania.
Something, just or paired with.
Take the podcast with us. Record in the car.
Just
And now we're driving out to Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Don't worry, we're not drinking. We're going to just talk about the beers.
This is a sober podcast.
Hello, officer. Would you like to say a few words to our audience?
And by sober, we mean totally inebriated.
I've had a few of their Scratch Series when I can get my hands on them. And one of them was Mango IPA, I believe. Or Mango Triple IPA.
Where did you have that one?
I don't know, but I record all the beers I have in Untappd. So
Good call. You and your data collection.
talk amongst yourselves while I figure it out.
Well, see, the problem for me is that Scratch Series is so limited because depending on how well it does, it may or may not be pushed forward. So the first time, or like the next time I saw it, I can't remember if it was More Pat or if it was ABW had it on tap. And it must have been something that got pushed forward because I'm pretty sure out of the 222 beers of that Scratch Series that they've produced must have done well to get pushed to another tap house. So, but the number escapes me.
Yeah, because from what I got from their website, it seems like the Scratch beers pretty much stay in house.
Yeah.
Behold, I found the information. So I had it at Aurora Brewworks. It was June 20th, 2013, and I said, this brew looks like thick mango juice and packs of bitter citrus flavor. And I kind of do remember it now. It was not see-through, even a little bit. They did not, when they said triple mango, they weren't using hyperbole. There was a lot of mango in there. But it was really good. But I had that scratch, and then I had a couple other scratches along the way. Those were variations of pale ales. All were good though. I really haven't had a scratch series that that they phoned in or didn't do a great job on.
I'm not as good at data collection anymore. I kind of stopped after, I think, 1,500 beers. I just have not put any information. And the sad part is, like, my numbers are, if not directly matched or possibly higher than Chris's. But because when I'm drinking, I don't care to look at my phone.
That's not true. You look at your phone all the time when you're drinking.
Just not that. I just don't feel like typing in data.
Oh, you're texting the ladies.
Yeah, that's not true either.
He's on Tinder.
Not anymore. I'm not. Oh God. No, we are not going down that road. We're staying clear of that. We are. back to the beer.
Back to the beer at hand.
I'll burn this place to the ground. It is a tinderbox.
Tinderbox. Okay. Yeah, actually, let's move on to the next beer that we have. And the next beer we have up is LaGrave. Or I call it LaGrave sometimes. I'll be honest. I'm not 100% positive how to say it.
I'm good with either.
Okay. We'll try to say LaGrave, because I think that's how it's said. But if we slip up, don't judge us. Or if you do judge us,
I'm purposely going to say LaGrave just to be different.
You son of a bitch. In any case, it's a delicious beer, no matter how you say it.
LaGrave.
Except that one. That ruins it.
You got to at least put a little more emphasis on the R. Roll the tongue. Just LaGrave.
Ooh. That's a sensuous beer there.
Isn't that how all beer should be?
You're not wrong. Yeah, it's pretty great. A lot of spice in the beer, but unlike the winter beers we did for our winter beer episode, it's not because they put spice in here. That's all just coming out of the yeast and just the natural products that made the beer.
Yeah, I mean it's just a big yeast bomb. I mean, you get tons of esters in it, like pear and apple. I'm getting, but then that spicy character, it's just peppery and
so good.
Yeah,
and the best thing about this is that actually it just matures so well, being bottle conditioned. And the first time I had it was the first time I went to Tröegs, and it had just been released, and I picked it before, but I was like, I haven't had this one before. And I gave my bottle to my friend, took the rest home, drank one immediately, and I just sat on the last two. And I'm like, all right, we let it sit for about, 4 months or so. I was like, I really want another one. Then I was like, another 5-6 months later, drank it again. I was like, this is so much better. And then I was like, now it's gone. And then I had to wait for another 8 months before it showed up on the shelves. And I could have it again.
Now, how did it change? Was the bubbliness gone?
No, the bubbliness didn't leave. It actually, if I can remember correctly, actually got a little bit sweeter. Almost like that malt kind of came out a little bit more, and the bite kind of just descended a little bit, but still it's just so worth it. Just to let it the flavors popped out a little bit more.
So more of the pear and the apple, less of the pepper and the spice. Yeah, I can see that being a good transformation on this beer.
It was a great transformation. I would recommend it to everybody. Just pick up one bottle. I mean, I don't think people in this world age beers enough, or realize if they do age them, I don't think a lot of people really understand what to do when it comes to aging beers, or that you can age a beer. Mm-hmm. And I think, obviously don't go out and buy that freshest IPA possible and go sit on it for a year. Don't do it. It will not be the same again.
Same as don't buy a 6-pack of Budweiser and try and age that. That would be
foolhardy.
Sick.
Would it lose any of it? Would it change though?
Well, actually, there was when the Italian club that my parents belonged to, when they were closing down, they had a whole bunch of cases of Labatt Blue, and my dad took one home and brought a couple to poker one night, and he had one, and he immediately got sick. His stomach just turned, and he immediately got sick.
Did he know how old those were? Or
no,
just that they were old?
Yeah, just that they were in the cooler, and that they were just older.
Man.
Actually, if I recall, do you remember a while back, Chris, when we had done that? We did a movie. The Legend of Shirtfinder, I think it was.
Yeah, Shirtfinder.
Didn't we find a random can of beer in our friend's barn? And it was sealed, and we cracked it open, and one of our friends actually drank it. And we were talking not a year-old Budweiser or something like that. We were talking the last family who lived there in a barn, old.
Like a Jenny Screamer that had May 5th, 1977 printed on it.
Yes. But the thing is, because we're juvenile delinquents at this time, we added the gag of just adding let's add black pepper and Nestle Quick and all this horrible things just to get a worse reaction out of it. But it's very well possible all those things we added killed what was ever in that beer.
we somehow made a neutral substance.
Because while it was unpalatable, he didn't get sick from it.
Yeah. Well, we were young, and people recover quickly.
Youth.
Youth. Plus, there really wasn't as much social media back then, so he might have been sick and just didn't post about it.
He might have gotten really sick, and you guys didn't take pictures.
And
Missed opportunities.
Missed opportunities.
No longer. Thank you, social media.
Well, back to the whole aging of beers. Just like I know you, Alex, and myself, we have our own collections of stuff that we will sit on. Do you know what the longest thing you've actually aged a beer?
I do have a barley wine from 2012. I believe it's Widmer Brothers, Oldham Bomber.
All right.
Damn.
I have some 2013 barley wines that I brewed. I think those would be the oldest.
And then the longest beer on my shelf currently is possibly the Vertical Epic from Stone. I have a 12. The longest one, though, I had an 04 from Stone.
Oh, I remember that.
That I drank. And I was like, yeah, it's time. It's like 12 years later. Let's drink it.
How long did you... When did you pick that up?
I picked that actually up as a lonely Valentine's Day gift to myself. And that's kind of just what it is. I was like, I'm not buying gifts, it's like, it's all for me. So I was at Aurora Brewers and I just decided, I'm like, they used to put out rare bottles on their shelf and they'd, heftier price tag, but it was some really cool things that you could get. And I remember there was, what is it called? I can't think of the beer now. But anyway, one of the bottles was the 04, and I was like, I know I'm never going to see this again. At least not for some good time, even though they're doing the Encore series. I'm like, that's an original bottle. So I took it, and I was like, didn't drink it for a while. I was like, just going to stare at it for a while. I'm like, and finally one day I was like, New Year's, and I brought it in back to Aurora Brewers, and no one was in there on New Year's, and I was like, between me and one of the bartenders, like, you and I, here we go. Good times. It was a good way to ring in the year, spend my Valentine's Day by my lonesome self and get something delicious out of it.
That works.
Heartwarming.
Yes, it touches the cockles of your heart.
Touches all the cockles of my heart.
My cockles were not touched on Valentine's Day.
That's sad.
You tried to touch your own cockles.
No, I just numbed them with a lot of alcohol.
Well, that's plan B.
Numbing of the cockles. Like, how do you follow that up?
I got nothing.
I'm gonna steer the conversation.
I am out of beer though.
I'm gonna steer the conversation away from cockles. That's a fun way to say it.
It really is. Cockles.
Cockles.
Cockles? Cockles. Cockles.
That's the time you choose to get clever.
Are we still recording? Because I'm still going here.
I'm still recording. I just don't know if he's going to use it. I hope not.
I hope he does.
I
want
nice
everything
long
of this.
pause is where you cut it.
We'll see how feisty I'm feeling when I'm editing this.
Bring the feist.
Well, again, taking the conversation into a more less cockle territory. We were talking about Untappd earlier, and one thing that I wanted to bring up is a bracket that Untappd has going on, which I think is a really cool idea for them. Every year, well, not every year, but most recent years, you see some sort of beer bracket going on.
But why is that? Because there's a big event going on right now that everyone seems to be, it just seems to grow more and more, and that's March Madness.
What's that?
The massive, giant college basketball tournament that everyone, more and more throughout Buffalo, I just say, I'm like, all right, a lot of people from their old alma maters are showing support for their teams, apparently. And I'm like, I don't actually remember my college's basketball team, actually.
College basketball, you say?
Yes. So with it, you bring in the beer bracket, and you line up all your favorite breweries, And then, but back to what you're saying, Untappd has done it brilliantly of just the people and the numbers choose who will make it to the finals and be the number one brewery amongst, well, you guys.
Yeah, with the ascendancy of craft beer, this has been done a lot, but other styles have either been based on votes, which, I mean, that's okay. If you're paying attention and you vote, cool. Or just based on, like, if it's a newspaper, the editors might do their own bracket. But this is actually based on check-ins. So what are you actually drinking and checking into? And, I mean, I'm sure a lot of these check-ins, the people don't even know what's going on. They just pull up Untappd, check into a beer like normal, and proceed. So it's probably a pretty honest way to see who's actually drinking how much of what.
It's a great way to see your distribution and how far your beers come. And the numbers of just the breweries, you see the bigger names, and you see the numbers, and you're like, yeah, you can kind of figure. It's like there's a little bit of, distribution, but then there's also fandom, and it's like you know who's drinking what. And it also kind of says, because they do it well. Except for one thing on here that I'm plugging. If people out there do not make it so Stone beats out Anheuser-Busch, I will cry on air next time. And they're in the Midwest final.
Yeah, and we're by the time this podcast comes out, the finals will be going. Not the finals, but the regional finals will be going on. But right now, we only know the results from round 2 when we're recording this. And so far, based on those results, like Dan was talking about, Stone is going up against Anheuser. I have a lot of faith in Stone. Their numbers are twice what Anheuser's were for rounds 1 and 2.
True. And truth be told, though, is it really a competition when you look at who Anheuser-Busch had to face and those cores?
It's very true.
I'm glad one of them knocked the other one out, though. So that's pretty cool.
Now, that's not to say that there's just some, weird, like, I don't know, cheaper breweries on there. Because there are some good ones on here, from the brewery to Surly. You've got Founders, Firestone Walker, Russian Rivers on here, 21st Amendment, 6 Point. Like, almost every major brewery that you could think of is listed almost. But yeah, seeing that just... Stone is going to be facing Anheuser in that.
Yeah, and Surly, for example, they just got trounced in round 1 because the beer's amazing.
But there's no distribution.
Yeah.
So they faced Founders.
No one's going to be checking in when they drink it.
I've only
had
had
people in the state drinking it.
Right, and that's what it comes down to, is who's actually drinking your beer.
I've only had 2 beers of theirs, and that's the Furious and the Abrasive from Surly, and that's only because, well, someone dragged it from Minnesota.
Yeah.
So, and
good people.
Good people and a delicious beer, but so hard to get from if you're not
Surly,
in that
you
area.
have fans in Western New York if you choose to distribute here in the future. Your product will be bought.
The one I'm interested in is the Dogfish versus Boston.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a really close one. Just because I think Dogfish has a huge following, but I think Boston is out there so much with Sam Adams that everybody drinks it. But I hope Dogfish wins.
The numbers between Dogfish and Boston from their last round, it's 5,400 to 5,300. That's how close it was.
Yeah, very close.
But I will say, Boston knows how to push that name, and that's why they've gotten so big. But we do love our Dogfish head on this podcast. I'm sorry.
It only comes up every episode.
Just once or twice.
Yeah, I think whoever wins that matchup between Dogfish and Boston Beer Company, I think whoever wins that might want to take the whole thing. Those are 2 strong contenders there. Especially on a site like Untappd.
I think it's going to come down to Stone, too.
Yeah.
Oh,
there was a
that's
local...
true.
Didn't Southern Tier do a local one? And they were pushing, like, hey, vote for us to kind of go forward as, like, in the paper or something like that.
Yeah.
I think
that was last year.
Yeah. Was it last year?
Yeah, it was last year. And you know what? I
forgot
the thing
who won.
I love... Southern Tier won.
Okay, Southern
They
Tier
ended
won.
up winning it. But the thing I love about this Untappd one is that it literally is based on what people are drinking. Like, so I can't go to work and talk to all my friends there and be like, hey, go on this website and vote for this brewery because I love them and I want them to win. It literally comes down to, oh, hey, do you have Untappd? Just check in random beers. Like people don't do that.
Yeah. If you're using Untappd, odds are you're using it ethically.
Right, and it's because it's something you actually want to do. You actually want to check in the beers because it's kind of a little game.
And they restricted it to unique users. So it's not like I can check into Dogfish Head 20 times in one night to get 20 votes for them.
Right.
It's one check-in for one user for Dogfish. Checked. Good to go.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think it's a really great system. Definitely be interested in watching it. It ends early April. The championship is April 3rd to April 4th. So it'll be after this podcast comes out. So I'll be looking forward to see who actually wins the Untappd bracket this year. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our next beer here. Dan thinks this next beer is hilarious. It's called Nugget Nectar.
Yes. Nugget.
See? It's kind of funny. He's not totally wrong there. But this is cool. This is the first beer of the night. That's one of the it comes out once a year. The other two beers are available all the time, but this one is only available once a year. So since we're recording right now, we decided to snag it, and it's a pretty great beer.
Yeah, I love it. It's just big and citrusy in the nose, and it's got that nice piney resinous character. It's great. It's a great, they call it a hoppy amber ale. It's beautiful. It's actually one of my good friends. It's actually one of her favorite beers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and inspiration for an IPA that we just brewed.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like these kinds of beers where they mix. It's really good at mixing the two things that you said, the pininess and the citrusiness.
Mm-hmm.
When you can combine those but not have one overpower the other. Like a lot of West Coast beers, and especially their IPAs, the pininess comes through a little bit too much. But something like this, where it's a good balance, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, and that hop nugget, it actually, to me, comes across, and Devin will love this, it comes across very juicy. It just has a juicy character to it.
Oh, that's just as bad as saying moist. I don't know why.
It's
It's
very
not
moist.
a moist nugget. It's a juicy nugget.
That's the worst combination of words ever.
Would you drink a beer if it was called Moist Nugget? Or would you have to pause?
What style would that be?
A moist nugget?
I keep just thinking of stout or something. I don't know.
See, you're going a little dark with the nugget. What kind of nuggets are you thinking?
I'm picturing bad things right now. Those two words don't belong together.
I was thinking something fruity.
You got that from Moist Nugget?
Yeah. I don't know why. I think it's because of my optimism. But, yeah, so Nugget Nectar. Good combination there. And one of the nice things, I was looking up this beer on the website. And by the way, Tröegs has an amazing website. Go check it out. But they especially have, for some of the beers like this one, they have food notes where they have a nice little infographic. And they mention some of the foods that'll be really good with this beer, like pork belly, charred brisket, 5-year aged Gouda.
I love the specifics. 5 years.
Yeah. None of that 4-year bullshit. 5-year aged Gouda. But great infographics they have for a bunch of the beers. Good website overall too.
Papaya.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of papaya.
Oh, but pork belly. Pork belly with everything.
So delicious.
Especially if it's nice and moist.
Some moist pork belly.
Moist.
Also not a moist nugget.
Carve off some moist nuggets of pork belly.
Okay, now you've actually made it sound pretty good.
Changing perspective.
Pork belly will change everything.
Pork belly can make anything approachable. Even moist nuggets.
I've been on a hop kick lately, and so it's...
Wait. Lately?
Okay, all the time. Just a majority of my life is just surrounded by hops, as just not just with beer, but actually just daily practices of my life. I'll just bring it in. And
Hygiene?
Yes.
Wash
Good
his
segue. Yes, we'll go with that, Chris. But I felt the need for more hops, which I kind of did not get from this beer, sadly enough. I don't know what I'm reading the first line of what they say on their site about this, and it's it's impossible to forget your first squeeze
because it's juicy.
Yeah, and I want to forget my first squeeze. I don't know about you, and it's kind of how I'm feeling right now. I would like a more what's the word? I guess aggressive hop flavor to it.
West Coast.
Yeah,
I'm a West Coast guy.
Like it.
I'm a West Coast guy. I know.
Always hating on the East Coast.
Self-hating East Coaster.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Tupac. What? We're gonna start gang wars.
You're not allowed to shout out Tupac.
Yes, I am.
As a response. I mean, maybe you are. I don't know the rules.
There are no rules.
But you were talking about your hop-filled life.
A hop-filled life of I had a new hop adventure in the realm of bath beers, which we all know I love a good bath beer.
A new bath beer segment brought to you by Dan.
At least once per episode.
At least
once per episode.
Hey.
That and the 120.
Do you think Dan just sits around at home like, how can I incorporate beer into the bathroom in a new way this week?
I've already added the bottle opener, the wall-mounted bottle opener to my bathroom.
That's true.
But with this new one, I added hops to the actual bath, which not just dumping in whole cones of hops, although I did think about that later. I'm like, hey, if you can add rose petals, why not a couple whole leaf hops? I thought it would actually be quite romantic if someone did that for me. I'm like, screw rose petals, throw hop cones all over the bath place.
Hear that, ladies? That's the way to his moist heart.
I can't come back from that. I can't.
Yeah. So, Dan, you were saying about the bathtub and hops, or hop things.
I ran out of bubble bath. Surprisingly enough, so decided to make my own, which you can find any recipe or something like that online or something like that. Just a little research. But all the scents, it's like add vanilla, add lavender, floral scents, something relaxing. I'm like, beer's relaxing, so went into the fridge of the home brewing ingredients and found some Simcoe hops that threw into the old spice grinder, added to the mixture, and made my own hoppy bubble bath.
So this is a homemade bubble bath.
Yes.
Hoppy bubble bath.
And it was delightful, just that aroma. And I drank an IPA while I was sitting, literally brewing in my own bathtub.
Brewing Dan beer.
Not drinkable. Will never be on the shelves.
So you have to let it sit for a while and ferment.
Just let it's like bathtub gin, bathtub beer. That will be the next beer I do. I'm just gonna put a label on it: bathtub beer. No one will drink it just out of fear.
What variety of Pruno is that? Oh, that's Dan Pruno.
Oh.
Where did the yeast come from?
You don't want to know.
It came from the moist places.
From Munda.
Even left that ring of hops around the bathtub, like after when you're done doing a boil of just that green ring. I'm just like, that's actually kind of cool.
Nice,
The thing is,
nice.
it smelled wonderful. I went to bed, I'm just like, I smell good.
So you straight up smelled like hops.
I smelled like hops.
Yeah, hop oils are actually good for your skin too.
All enjoyable experience.
Good.
I'm just thinking of moist hearts, though.
Juicy, moist
Juice.
nugget of a heart.
Yeah, that's what my heart is.
Yeah, some lucky
That's
listener
all heart.
out there will
It's all heart.
take a bite out of your juicy, moist heart nugget.
Ew.
Not literally. Well, maybe literally. I don't know. There's some crazies out there.
Still not going down that road.
And our last beer of the evening, the wonderful Mad Elf. I've been a big fan of this beer.
You
for
say
a
wonderful,
while.
I say conflicted.
You say conflicted. Back in the day, I said, boy, this is a wonderful craft beer. And Dan's like, fuck you, no it's not. And I was like, Dan, why so hostile? And Dan's like,
Yeah, you didn't say
fuck
that at
you.
all. Stop making yourself to be the hero.
And I'm like, but Dan, this beer is wonderful.
You hadn't had it yet.
I knew it was going to be wonderful. Actually, this beer was recommended to me by my sister. And I said, yeah, that sounds like a good beer. And I saw the ABV on it. It's a big ABV beer. It's 11%.
11%.
I mean, as a lot of winter beers are higher, but I thought, okay, looks cool.
Let's be
I
honest.
think I had 1 or 2 beers from Tröegs before, but I saw it. It was high ABV. My sister recommended it. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to try that beer.
Let's be honest. When you're starting out as, getting into craft beer, a lot of times you went to look at that ABV and you're like, higher is better.
Absolutely.
It's very true. And I have to say, your sister has good taste because this is a phenomenal beer.
Yeah. She worked in
She all right.
she worked in a bar.
You're just all right.
Oh, I know.
She worked in a bar in college, actually, which had a bunch of craft beers. So it was, I mean, if you're going to work at a bar at any point in life, it's a good time to do it, and one that has craft beers. I mean, just get free samples all the time. Get to try stuff.
Yeah, damn right.
Yeah. So, Alex, why do you like this beer?
I just like the alcohol, man. It's so good.
Oh, I'm so buzzed right now.
No, it's delicious. The sweet but slightly tart cherries, the honey that comes through, balanced out by that big alcohol. It's not too boozy, but you get booze in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a slight hint of chocolate in there.
The chocolate I really have to search for. If I wasn't looking for it, I don't know if I'd get the chocolate.
Very subtle.
Yeah, the honey, though, I'm a big fan of honey, and that kind of sweetness coming through in the beer, huge fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the cherries. I mean, as we've talked about before, I'm not a huge fan of big cherry flavor in beers, but since it's more
Not a fan of
subtle
cherry,
here
are you,
and more
Chris?
of more of the sour end of the cherry.
not moist
tart
enough for 'em.
cherry. Yeah, it's not nearly moist enough. But honey is excellent in this beer.
Yeah, that sweetness is definitely needed
Yeah.
against that 11%.
Dan, I don't remember. Did you have a specific reason you didn't like the beer way back when?
I was just getting into craft beer at the time, and if I remember, it was friend of mine, his mom, like her husband and her would drink craft beer all the time. So like my first one that I had from her was the Duchess de Brion, which I surprisingly loved.
That is surprising as
I
a
know.
first craft beer.
Nice Flemish beer. And then like I remember she gave me like Young's double chocolate stout, which I thought was like biting into a brick of bitter chocolate, and I no. And then she gave me the Mad Elf one day, and she's like, "You're gonna like this," and I'm just like, I am not. And other than that, the only other cherry beer I had at that beforehand was the Sam Adams Cherry Wheat, which to me tasted like cough syrup.
Yeah, it's very medicinal.
Yeah,
That's a great way to describe it.
so like I just avoided it. Like I'm drinking it now, and I'm getting a completely different taste. And it is an enjoyable beer, but for some reason, just up until really recently, every time I saw that bottle, I just remember I was like, I did not like you. So why pick it up again?
So she really wasn't trying to ease you into craft beer.
Oh, absolutely.
There are
not.
certain routes you can take, certain crisp pale ales that are a good entry point.
She was a pull nose punch as well.
Lighter beers.
But Duchess, Mad Elf, the Young's Double Chocolate. I mean, now, yeah, sure, it's great, but as a first craft beer,
Those are my
Not
firsts.
so much.
damn,
That's what broke my craft beer cherry right there.
with a cherry,
With the cherry.
a Mad Elf cherry.
He was rough.
Well, that's just throwing you right into the deep end, isn't it?
You have no idea.
This year, I actually started to. I bought a 6-pack, and I'm planning on doing this every year from now on. I bought a 6-pack of the Mad Elf, and I have a bunch of them stored away because this beer will age very, very nicely. So I plan on, and especially now that I know that this is the last year that they are using this label, it's pretty cool that I'm gonna have the original label for this beer.
Good point on the labeling. Tröegs has completely switched over all their labels, and looking at them, I don't know. I kind of like the old ones. I mean, the new ones are like they're clean, but I feel like literally a graphic designer in college went through and just said, "Here you go. This is what I came up with," and I don't feel like there's the aspect of so much of like someone like went in and just drew it. Like, I don't.
No, it was they announced it last fall, and then in the past 3 months it's been rolling out, which is why all the bottles here with the new logos. But the two owners of Tröegs, it's someone they knew and someone who did, I forgot what beers, and they did 2 or 3 beers previously, back when they had all their own logos going. But they really liked how it went. They wanted to kind of change it. Like, Tröegs never one to just kind of sit down and go with what's been good. Like, even the Perpetual IPA is named that because they're perpetually improving and moving and shaping things. And they want to do that with the art, too. So they really liked the art that this guy did before. So they, collaborated, the 3 of them, and came up with a new series, which is rolling out now. It is different. If you did like the original labels, I can see not being a huge fan of these new ones. I kind of like the, it's a bit cleaner, but I don't want to say modernist because not very many straight lines on them, but I do like the new art.
I'm looking at the Troegenator one, and I like it, but it's not so much the artwork or the label. It's the new way it's the literal Tröegs logo, that guitar pick kind of shapes and that lettering that I'm not digging. I miss that independent, arch right there. It just said Tröegs, bold, done. It kind of gets lost to me now. The one on the Mad Elf bottle we have right now.
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. The logo itself, I do like the previous. I like the new artwork on the bottles, but as far as just the logo itself, the previous logo was pretty cool.
Well, when I was getting the beers for tonight's podcast, surprisingly enough, I actually had a hard time finding Tröegs beer because of the new artwork, as I was so used to the old one. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's gone. Wait, ABW doesn't have Tröegs anymore? Wait, that doesn't make sense. And I'm like, no, it's right there. But I'm like, where's the rest of it?
That's a good point.
Sadly enough, there was actually only one bottle of the Nugget Nectar left, and it was just sitting there. Everyone else had taken it, which is a good sign. But I was just like, that's bottle mine.
Yeah.
But had that logo been there, I would have known it so much faster.
It's a good sign for the brewery, though, that it's something so common that you get so often. You don't even read and go for the bottle. You just know what you're looking for. You know the look of the bottle, the look of the bottle.
Well, not only that, the fact that I've been there so much, I just knew where to go, that Tröegs was in this spot.
Yeah,
and then I'm standing in that spot, and I can't find it because the artwork has changed.
Was it still in that spot?
It was. So it was directly in front of my face. I'm just a moron.
So you're standing there staring at Tröegs beer bottles, and you're like, please help me find the Tröegs bottles.
Pretty much.
See, I'm still not buying that you only had 1 5-ounce glass.
5 ounce. You can talk to... no name, sorry. You can talk to the bartender. 5 ounce, innocent gun, Irish whiskey cask. That's all I had. I can give you my receipt.
I'm good.
Yes, I can find it.
I'm not that interested. I have to get a receipt.
I'm just trying to give you shit.
I know that. You should trust me more, Alex.
Speaking of trust, no, I have nothing to do from that. It's a bad segue, but we are nearing the end of our podcast. So we're going to bring back a section called What I've Been Drinking, where each of us goes ahead and talks about something we've been drinking recently between the last podcast and now. Could be because it's awesome, could be because it's awful. Maybe it was part of a great experience. But Alex, what have you been drinking lately?
I had a few cans of Grimm's After Image, and I was blown away by it. Got to split one with my dad, and then I had one just for myself, but it was beautiful.
What was beautiful about it?
Just a big double IPA. It was extremely drinkable for being a double IPA.
See, I found it. You said big, and I think it's coming in at an 8% ABV, and I think it was the fact that it was so drinkable when I had it that I almost didn't use the word big. I was like, wow, it was just
well,
so
I'm talking
mellow
the hop character more than the alcohol.
I thought it was
content.
so flavorful, but it wasn't abrasive.
Right.
It was clean. It was
Wasn't
delicious. No, it was not.
And Dan
I
liked
actually,
it?
I'm
loved
surprised.
it. Surprised. It was a great mellow beer. Like the way you kind of drink the all day IPA, you can keep going with that.
Yeah.
That was this beer.
Yeah.
Like scary though, because it is an 8%.
Yep.
But I could see myself hot day finishing a 4-pack. But I can't because once I'm done, I can't get this beer at least for some time. I had bought it the same day Alex had, and I actually ended up sharing one can with a customer and a rep. I drank one for myself. I got one in my fridge right now, and I actually gave one to my boss because he's a big IPA guy, but he never knows really what to pick up next or what's out there. So he always kind of goes for his standards until I give him something new, and then he comes back in the next day and he's like, "Wow!" And I saw him today. He goes, just simply, he loved it. He's like, where can I get one? I'm like, good luck.
Yeah.
It's like, that was a one-time deal, dude. I'm literally drug dealing to my boss with beer. Here's your fix.
That was quite the social 4-pack you had going on there.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, Grim, they, the first few beers I had from that, I mean, all the beers have been great, but a lot of sours up front. But recently, there's been a couple IPAs that have come out that I've had, and
The Lambo
they
Door.
make the Lambo Door.
Yeah, the
They
Lambo
make
Door is really
such
good.
great IPAs.
They really do.
Yeah, it's encouraging. I like that and I mean, those are the two biggest styles in craft beer right now, sours and IPAs. So they're really nailing that market. Dan, what have you been drinking recently?
I've been drinking water, Chris. Water. Good clean water.
Hydration.
Yes.
What?
Always needed when you're
Wait,
drinking.
like water mixed with maybe a little malt, maybe a little yeast, maybe a little
No,
hops.
just plain water, Chris. While I'm drinking a beer, because you need to keep yourself hydrated.
I don't understand.
Who are you?
I don't really know. I'm actually lying through my teeth. I've been drinking a lot recently. Recently, I just picked up the Jack's Abbey Excess, which I got a taste of, and it was impressive. Kind of that big, aggressive hop characteristic that I really like. Almost a little kind of scratchy almost in the throat when you're drinking it. And I found it, and then found out someone went ahead and bought the rest of it. And then I got a text message today just saying, "It's back." And I'm like, "Save it for me." And there it was when I went to go pick it up today. So I've got that in the fridge, but I am still finishing that mini keg of Bell's Hop Slam, which I posted on our Instagram, and I've kept it now carbonated and tasty and still as good as the first day I cracked it. Now going into the end of week 3, and I'm down to 1 pint glass left.
That's a great record there.
I broke the record of 2 weeks with the Bell's Oberon, which just got released. So now I'm going to fill my fridge with a new mini keg. Yeah, I'm waiting for that mini keg to show up there.
Yeah, I usually like getting a couple of those during the summer.
I wish more breweries would throw out mini kegs.
Absolutely.
They're great to
They
have.
really are.
Yeah, that was a good call by Bell's.
I was like, I found like
Well, someone else started it.
the Frankensteiner. Heineken
Yeah,
had one.
Heineken had
Yeah,
one
Bell's
for-
didn't pioneer it, but
Right.
it is the first big craft beer brewery
Right.
I've seen do it.
Come on, could you imagine, Alex? You get your Mad Elf in a mini keg. Christmas time.
That'd be so dangerous.
Big red bow under the Christmas tree, and you crack that baby open. Don't
Sounds
wake
like
up
one
to
hell
New
of a
Year's.
Christmas.
Grab a 16-ounce tulip and just keep filling it up. You're gonna
Sounds
feel
like I'm
that.
not driving.
You're having it's Christmas. Nothing's open. It's the perfect day to get drunk. Plus, you're dealing with family.
You drive to families' places.
Exactly.
You guys are weird.
What do you mean family?
I avoid my family. Or at least if I'm with them, I drink more to forget I'm there. Love you, Mom. Love you, Dad.
Shout out. Hey, Mom.
Hey, Ma!
So I've been drinking, and Dan actually was drinking with me, Gordon Biersch. Specifically the oatmeal stout. I had that, super creamy, great stout. I enjoyed it.
It was on Nitro. It was
Yeah, on Nitro. They had just tapped it. And we showed up there. We went for happy hour. We were just going to have one or two. But then at the end of happy hour, Sabres game came on. And we're like, oh, Sabres game's on. Let's watch the Sabres game. And I think we ended up going through every beer that Gordon Biersch has.
The ale, the stout, and we had ended up there for the happy hour, so every pint we had was only $3.
Nice.
Yeah. Anytime you can get a pint of craft beer for $3, you're doing it right. So it was a good day, and I mean Gordon Biersch, they produce pretty good beer. Towards the end of the nights, I was slowed down a bit. The brewer actually came over and talked to us.
Oh, cool.
And I got to talk to him.
Kid
So they had
nailed
the
it.
setup right in the house there.
It was a delicious stout. Nice chocolate, creamy stout. Good nightcap.
Oh yeah, it'd be an excellent nightcap.
I think that was the one we upgraded to a larger size, so just nice 22-ounce
Yeah,
stout.
Yeah. It was.
I think there's one size up, and I think that might be it's a full liter of beer, I think.
The big Stein, the big German style Steins.
Next Wednesday, we're going to Gordon Biersch, and
yeah.
we told them we're getting the stout.
give me oatmeal stout and a 32-ounce Stein.
Just go with a stout in a boot.
Yeah, we would, but they won't serve to you in a boot.
Although when they
then order multiple and pour it into a boot.
they've pulled back a couple of their merchandise stuff, but Chris, the Oktoberfests, when you're at Gordon Biersch, because they do produce an Oktoberfest during that time, they have the boot, or at least when I was there, they had it in like a glass case, and which my mom found I've done the boot almost every year at Fallfest, and she was not happy when she found out what it actually entails. But I nailed it. So
listeners, you will most likely see Dan drinking out of the boot
this
on our
year,
Instagram account this year at Wildfest.
I will crush that thing again. I am its master. And now I just lost my train of thought. But the Oktoberfests that they produce, I can't get my train of thought back. I'm just gonna stop.
Glass boot, Gordon Biersch. The rewards?
Thank you. That's where I was headed. Thank you very much, Chris. They have a rewards program, and that you get points for the amount of money you spend there. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things is, I think it was, 25... I forget how,
it was like $25,000 or
$25,000, because you get 1 point for every dollar spent, but if you earn enough points, it's like a trip to Germany for Oktoberfest.
Yeah, prepay, just everything.
But the next one lower, which is like 10 grand if you've drank there enough, is just an entire party for 10 at Gordon Biersch, completely paid for you and 10 guests. And I'm like, I'd be okay with that one. Yeah. I'd like to go to Germany, but for $25,000, I'd be better off just getting the ticket myself.
See, so what you have to do is get like 10 friends and go and drink there and go and have dinner there every now and then. And
here, just put this on put it on one tab.
Exactly. Ooh.
Hey, Alex, you want to go out to dinner next week?
Count me in.
we can be.
Can I go on my Stein Club card?
I need a bunch of people to go out to dinner now. Earn me those points. Well, we had gone there like one of the first times, and there's just this old man sitting there drinking.
Old man.
And the girl, she got us to sign up.
Name Old Man?
Well, that's how we
no known last name, but his first name's Old Man.
Old Man. So the girl is talking to us. She's like, you should sign up for these cards, it'd be really good. And she's telling us all the benefits, and she's telling us about the trip. And she's like, that guy actually is like 1,000 points away from getting it. And I was like, how long have you been sitting here just drinking constantly?
Yeah, dude just consistently goes to a bar and drinks. So when he does, he just gets the points on his card. And he's really not changing his schedule. We got the feeling he's probably going to go to a bar and drink somewhere. So he was going here. And yeah, he was pretty close to having enough points for the trip to Germany.
That's pretty
He
impressive.
wasn't there the night we were, but I wonder if he made it. And he just was drinking with Fräuleins.
Just to see a
You go.
Fräuleins
Yeah.
serving beer.
You go, old man, you go.
If you're listening, shoot us a message. We'll meet you at Gordon Biersch.
That or Waldfest.
That or Waldfest. That'd be fun too.
And you can buy us beer, so it goes on your card. And
Yeah.
No, it goes on my card. I want to go to Oktoberfest in Germany.
All right,
He had his chance.
Dan's gonna buy his own beer. You can buy my beer. I'll give you
Yeah,
those
mine.
points.
I'll buy him a beer, and it will go to the points on my card.
Dueling cards.
Ooh, beer Yu-Gi-Oh! That's for another show.
That's for another show.
No, it's not.
Beer magic cards?
Maybe.
New Year Geek Allegiance led somewhere.
I cast fermentation.
I like it.
Yeah, that's definitely going to come up in the future. We'll see. And that brings us to the end of today's show. Thank you for joining us, everyone. As always, feel free to go ahead and visit us on Facebook, Your Brain on Hops, on Twitter and Instagram at Brain on Hops, and our website itself, yourbrainonhops.com. Leave us a message. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you want us to taste something specific. And however you're listening to us, whether it be iTunes, Stitcher, whatever it is, go ahead and rate us. Unless you don't like us, then don't rate us.
No, still do, because I'll argue with you.
That's you can argue with Dan. He's a fierce litigator.
Bring on the lovers and the haters. Free publicity is all good.
So again, thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Chris.
Alex?
Later.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye!